The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman.
Habari Gani, my brothers and sisters. It's time now for another edition of Black Focus Radio, the only show that unabashedly addresses Black issues, creating Black solutions, and amplifying Black voices. Be sure to support our sponsors, joynetradio.com, where they keep you inspired and informed. And of course, ribrub.com. That's RIBBRUBB.com. They bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah, and our new sponsor, Chanbear Media Consultants, where they get your podcast and all that other stuff up and running so it can be professionally done, all right? Be sure to catch Black Focus Radio on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And while you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and tell somebody else. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, okay? Because we got a banging show. It's funny now that people are listening to the show, they're like, man, you got a good show. I know, okay? And also, don't forget to join the one-man campaign to help me get rid of the N-word. It is the most despicable word ever created. Our rise begins with how we address ourselves and using a derogatory slur against our own people as a negative self-fulfilling prophecy. So you know what I like to say? Just don't. Don't say it. Okay? I'm excited. I've had a fantastic week. A lot of people have been, I've been doing a lot of shows across the country. Y'all check them out. I'll be doing more, talking about the book, The Pain of Vengeance, which reminds me, here it is. It's The Pain of Vengeance under my pen name, Dante Senke. It is on Amazon. You go out and get a ebook, you can get an audio book, you can get a paperback or a hardback. I've also sent a couple of them autographed to some friends. I have some books myself. Reach out to me at Black Focus Radio. If you want an autographed copy, I'll send that to you as well. So, but I'm excited about the book, and I'm about 3/4 of a way done with not Mind Jack, but Blue Chip Down. It should be out here around September. So y'all keep praying for me. Keep reading my books, and keep contacting me and letting me know that everything is going all right. Got a great show for you today. We're going to talk a little bit in Black Facts about a young man by the name of Edmund Albius, okay? And I'll tell you why that's important, because if you don't know who he is, you're going to know today. And you've eaten some of his creation. I promise you, okay? Also, the TPS ruling about the Haitians, we're going to talk about that today. There's a problem in the Bible Belt. We got to address that as well. There are 3 white men that is committing global terror. 3 white men, okay, who are trying to hang on to power. You probably know who they are, but we're going to let you know who they are as well. And French Hill from Arkansas, he was exposed last week as his family owning slaves. I'm going to read that piece to you because I think it's very important for those white people who don't want reparations, who continue to live today on the backs of Black people where they don't want reparations, okay? And why are they erasing Black history? All of this is going to come under the same umbrella, as you can tell. Israelis, did you know that they used to camp out on a hill and watch Palestinians be bombed? It reminded me of when they would lynch Black people back in the day, where white people would show up with picnic baskets and bring all the family. When I saw that, it just boggled my mind. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. James Carville, James Tallarico, and Haley Schaffner. What do all of them have in common? And especially James Carville. I'm a little sick of him anyway, okay? Hopefully you will leave the Democratic Party, okay? So that's what's on the agenda. But before we can move on, let's talk about black facts.
Dynamic black facts. Our culture, our history, our people.
All right, welcome back to Black Focus Radio. We're doing Black Facts this segment. We do it every day that we do the show. It is important that we understand our history and where it came from because we've been lied to. You know, and the shows that I've been on lately, I've been guest on a lot of shows, and we've been talking about how do you empower our people to be better than what they were or what they are today? Well, it starts with our history. So that's part of the reason that I do Black Facts. And it's very important to deal with that. Okay, so one of the things I want to talk about today, everybody has eaten vanilla, right? You've had vanilla ice cream, okay? In fact, no matter what type of ice cream you've ever eaten, you've tasted the spice vanilla, right? We all have. You put it in your cookies, your cakes, your pies, your ice cream, anything to add flavor. Some people even add it to tomato sauce and all of those things. What if I told you that vanilla was actually, the vanilla that we use today was actually created by a young black male at age 14? You wouldn't believe that, right? Now, let me be honest with you, because, see, I'm an ex-chef, so I know vanilla. Don't go and get that vanilla fake stuff, okay? Because that vanilla stuff is fake, and it is not made from the vanilla bean. That stuff is actually made from the urine of an animal. Did y'all know that? So if you're going into the store and you're picking out vanilla, and if it doesn't say real vanilla, then you're actually eating the urine of an animal. I'm not kidding, all right? I am not kidding, all right? But the majority of the vanilla that we get today is coming from Madagascar, all right? Now, I learned something. You know, I knew the vanilla came from Madagascar, but I didn't know that it originated in Mexico. So let me just read this to you guys because I think you're going to find this fascinating. Okay? All right. Fernando Cortez, armed on the 22nd of May, 1619, off the coast of Veracruz. His squadron numbered about 600 men. Upon landing, he headed towards, let me make sure this is the right story. Yeah, this is the right. He headed towards, King Montezuma held court. When Montezuma saw Cortez, he imagined that he was none other than the priest king Quetzalcoatl. If Montezuma and his linear colony had not harbored that doubt, the Spanish would have been quickly ousted. Okay? So the Spanish were immediately captivated by the cacao of the Aztecs and, above all, those exceptional pods with their extraordinary fragrances. Vanilla. Charles V had the privilege of being the first king in Europe to taste this vanilla-based beverage. Have y'all ever had a vanilla soda? Did y'all know they used to make vanilla soda? Good stuff. All right. The new fragrance. This aromatic quality immediately attracted interest. And from the early 17th century, vanilla could be found in the cuisine of the European courts. The Tontonacs, who had been careful not to reveal the secret of vanilla, European botanists could not understand why this orchid did not bear fruit in the French overseas territories. For more than 2 centuries after its discovery by Cortez, Mexico held the monopoly on vanilla population. Now let me just stop right there. It says after the discovery of Cortez. No, you don't discover something that was already there. So Cortez didn't discover Jack. I just want to make a clarification there. In the 1700s, Guadeloupe, Martinique, and French Guiana already had vanilla plants recorded on their soil. Species such as vanilla pompona and derivatives of vanilla fragrans were already present before large-scale planting by the colonists and botanists of the Kingdom of France. In the region of the Waiampi tribes in French Guiana, many species of vanilla, of fragrant vanilla, were used to make necklaces. With the help of the governor of Cayenne, Pierre Henry Filbert, originally from the island of Reunion, a naval officer and ship's captain brought back numerous vanilla species to his island. These cuttings came from plantations in French Guiana, as well as from the many countries where he had stopped over with his sailors. On the second voyage, he also brought back plants from the Philippines, more precisely from the Calabarzon region. David de Florence brought back cuttings from greenhouses of the heads of the king's garden on board his ship. He became a vanilla producer upon his return and devoted his life to the spice. Thanks to him, the preparation of vanilla was greatly improved. Today, his family continues this expertise on the island of Reunion. While the Malapone bee pollinates vanilla in Mexico, it is not present on the island of Bourbon. The hummingbird, also called the flying bird, can sometimes help with the pollination of certain pods. It was Edmund Albius, at age 12, who in 1841 in Reunion discovered the method of pollinating a vanilla flower. The surname Albius was given to him at the abolition of slavery in reference to the white color of the flower, alba in Latin. Okay? Thanks to his pollination techniques, the development of vanilla was able to take hold on the island of Reunion. To carry out the pollination successfully, the manual technique is the only guarantee. Each vanilla flower gives rise to a pod that must be left on the vanilla plant for 8 to 10 months, depending on the species. Today, the technique discovered by Edmund Albius remains the reference technique for pollinating every vanilla flower around the world. The development of vanilla was all the more significant once Ernest Lupi, a vanilla producer in Reunion, invented the scalding technique. This technique consisted of placing giant ripe green vanilla pods in a hot water bath between 65 and 80 degrees Celsius for 3 minutes. The goal was to stop the enzymatic development of the pod and thus kill the pod producer's germ. This is followed by sweating in crates wrapped in jute cloth so that the pods can retain heat and lose much of the moisture as possible. After this step, an alternation of the jute mats in the sun and racks in the shade will allow our vanilla pods to develop their aromatic intensity. Madagascar and Reunion benefit from the rich soils and ideal temperatures from vanilla cultivation. Reunion is the home of various volcanic soils that are rich in nutrient for the healthy development of vanilla plants. The best known region for vanilla cultivation in Reunion is Saint Philippe and Saint Suzanne. It was from 1870 onward that the first cuttings and refining techniques arrived and were taught to in Madagascar. The northeast of the island is the region par excellence for vanilla. The soils, rich in organic matter, the warm, humid temperature are ideal for healthy development. Additionally, the yields of vanilla from the Andapa region are better than in other areas. This enclosed region a few hours drive from Sambava produces exceptional vanilla pods and more advantageous yields for the hectare. Nowadays, 80% of vanilla produced in the world is Bourbon vanilla from Madagascar. Interesting, huh? Well, let me see. They didn't go into much about that young man, but it was he, Edmund Albius, 12 years old, that figured out how to pollinate the vanilla plant with his hands. Do you hear what I just said? This kid was 12 years old when he came up with the technique to pollinate vanilla. That there's a reason vanilla isn't grown in America. The only place that it was being grown at that time was in Mexico, because there was this certain type of bee that pollinated the plant. For decades, they tried to duplicate this. Okay? In other words, them Europeans came to the early Americas and stole techniques and stole all this stuff, tried to take it back to Europe and duplicate it and couldn't. We tell you all the time that the best culture that white people ever created was the ones that they stole. This is another example of that. Something as simple as the vanilla bean. I will tell you right now that I've got vanilla beans right now in my cabinet that are from Madagascar. I've also got vanilla paste. Yeah, I told you I'm a cook. I love it. You've tasted it. The smell of vanilla. You know what? I'll tell you what. I had a air freshener that I bought. It was vanilla and coconut. Whew, man, it made my car smell so good. People loved it. But I digress. So they stole these bees. And, this story right here tries to make it as though that they've traded. They didn't trade jack. They stole them. They stole those vanilla bean pods and took them back to Africa. Y'all do know Madagascar is in Africa, right? Y'all know it sits off the coast of Africa. It's kind of like Cuba and America. Yeah, that's how close. I think Madagascar is even closer to the west coast of Africa than Cuba is to the Gulf here in America. So it was Edmund Albius. Obviously, he was a slave. 14 years old. 12. People don't even know who his father was. He came up with a technique where he could basically pollinate the vanilla bean to make it grow. And because of the soil, because of the rich content of the soil that was there in Madagascar, it grew like a wild weed. A 12-year-old kid. And you know what they gave him? His freedom. He didn't have a last name. As I told you in this piece, his last name was Albius, but that means white in Latin. So his name was Edward White, Edmund White. He didn't even have his real name. Edmund wasn't his real name. Y'all get this right? So it was a young brother, one of our ancestors, who created a spice, a fragrance that we all love to smell. Y'all know when y'all were growing up and you go to grandmama's house, give me that vanilla out of that. Give me some of that vanilla. My mom used to call it vanilla. Till I correct mama, that's a V. That's vanilla. Okay. But we all love vanilla ice cream. And I mean, everything you cook basically has vanilla in it. And it's all because of a young brother by the name of Edmund Albius. Isn't that a neat black fact for today?
Keep listening to Black Focus Radio for more dynamic black facts, our culture, our history, our people on Joynet Radio.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that black fact. A little fun black fact. I thought it was interesting. I knew the story of vanilla and I knew where it came from. But what I learned from doing a little research on that is that it was previously grown in Mexico, which is, I've never had any vanilla from Mexico. Okay? Never had any vanilla from Mexico. I'm serious. I've had, obviously, Madagascar vanilla, but that particular plant originated in Mexico and could only be grown in Mexico because of the climate and because of the soil concentration. And it was taken back to Europe and Africa and ultimately ended up in Madagascar, and now 80% of the vanilla comes from that region. I just think that's a neat story. It is. And it just goes to show you how many things that they stole from us and made millions and millions of dollars from it. So when we talk about reparations, everything y'all got came from us. You stole it. We're going to address that when we come back with this story about French Hill as well. Let's take our first break of the day. You're listening to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com. Hey friends, David W. Coleman here for Coleman's Dynamic Products and ribrub.com. That's RIBBRUBB.com. It's where you will find the best dry marinade for baking, grilling, and smoking your favorite meats and vegetables. We're gearing up for a very busy season, so I want you to make sure you take advantage of the great sale we've got going on right now. It's the Coleman's Dynamic Gift Box. It comes in 3 great flavors: hot and spicy, original, or scorching, or a 4th combination box. What is a Coleman's Dynamic Gift Box? Well, I'm glad you asked. You get 3 bags of Coleman's Dynamic Rib Rub, 3 bags of Coleman's Dynamic Rib Nuts, a bag of Coleman's Dynamic Fry Dust, and of course, you get a bottle of rib juice, pepper juice, and rib dust. You can't beat that. Order a Coleman's Dynamic Gift Box today and get a digital copy of the Coleman's Dynamic Recipe Book. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now is the time to place that order for Coleman's Dynamic Gift Box before the holiday rush. And remember, bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah, at ribrub.com. Attention entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and soon-to-be 501c3 organizations. My name is David W. Coleman, and I want to ask you a question. Are you looking for funding for your business or organization? The new year is upon us, and it's time to get those grant proposals ready. Deadlines for submittals will arrive quickly, and I can help you put your best business foot forward. There are multiple funding sources available to assist you in completing your mission. You just need to know where to look. If you are new to proposal writing and need tips on where to search for funding, this seminar is for you. I'll help you demystify some of the myths relating to grant writing. I'll give you great proposal writing tips to help you get your submission in the A pile. I'll point you to funding sources that most people ignore when pursuing assistance. It doesn't matter if you are new to the game or a veteran in this space. I have no doubt there is information you can utilize to get the dollars flowing to your business or organization. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme, but tried and effective methods to be successful. If you want to know more, respond with the word grants in the comments below, and I will send you information on the very next Grants and Federal Assistance Seminar. In the meantime, keep looking for that funding, and I'll see you at the next Grants and Federal Assistance Seminar. What's old is new again. The release of the Pain of Vengeance audiobook is finally here. A new generation, but the old story remains the same. What happens to an officer of the court when the tables of justice are turned against him? Will he abide or take the law into his own hands? Follow the saga of Malik Coleman as he makes decisions that will change lives forever. Be the first to hear it and hear it again. What would you do? Accept an unjust ruling
or reject the system outright that views fathers as second-class citizens. Order The Pain of Vengeance today, now available as an audiobook. The Pain of Vengeance will make you cheer, cry, laugh, and make you question equality and who truly benefits. Order The Pain of Vengeance audiobook by Dante Sinkay today.
Welcome back to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us if you'd like to join the show. Let me just quickly read you this Black People's Oath. As of today, I have no problems with other Black people. My goal is not to hurt or harm you, but support and uplift you. We have enough enemies. I got to give that to you every chance I get. So, we were talking about the black fact and where vanilla came from. And I ran across this piece. White people are quick to say, well, we don't owe you all any reparations. You hear that all the time when we talk about reparations, right? Well, my argument is that we do. You do. Because what you all don't realize is that white people today are living off the backs of black people. That piece right there in the Black Facts about Edmund Albius is a classic example of that. Okay? It's a classic example of that. So I ran across this piece the other day and I posted it on my wall. This is about French Hill. French Hill is a United States congressman from Arkansas. Now, one thing we know, he and Tom Cotton has something in common, and that's not from being from the same state. It is that their families owned slaves. Okay? We know that now. All right? As did many white Southerners. So when you tell me that you don't owe reparations and your wealth today is intrinsically tied to slave ownership, bro, you a damn lie. Yeah, y'all owe reparations. But let me just read this piece. I didn't mean to get into the commentary before I read the piece, but it's just annoying to me. Okay, I'm getting ready to do commentary again. let me read the piece. Okay, can a black man read the piece? All right, let me read it. All right, here we go. All right. French Hill's family wealth came from owning slaves. Ask little Frenchie, I wrote this part, ask little Frenchie, will he vote for reparations since he and his family clearly profited from human bondage? And I asked that question to people in Arkansas. I no longer live in Arkansas. And I know for a fact that French Hill, okay, I'm getting ready to get into commentary again. I'm sorry. Let me stop. I'm going to get to that in just a moment, all right? Let me just, can a black man just read the piece? Can a black man just, I'm going to read the piece, okay. All right. French Hill's family slaveholding history. French Hill frequently touts the fact that his Arkansas family history goes back 10 generations. That claim is true. He can trace through his maternal grandmother's line all the way back to Don Joseph Bernard Valliere de Hauteville, a French-born military captain who arrived in the late 1700s to command the Arkansas post, long before Arkansas achieved statehood. Now, if you don't know your history, that was part of the Louisiana Purchase. Arkansas was part of the Louisiana Purchase. And the Louisiana Purchase was created by Haiti. Hello? You don't know your history, do you? So let me just quickly do a quick turn. Okay. 1797. The Haitians kicked the French's ass. Okay? In other words, Haiti was the first country in the Western Hemisphere to get rid of slavery. Did y'all know that? Haiti was the first country to get rid of slavery. So the French owned slavery. So in part of the French saying, hey, we done got our tails kicked, we need to get out of here, they owned what was called the Louisiana Purchase. So In leaving the Western Hemisphere, the government of Arkansas decided that they were going to purchase all of that land. That's why Louisiana has such a French-dominated background. But get a map and just go look at the Louisiana Purchase. Arkansas was part of that. So I just want to throw that out there to you, because a lot of people don't know. That's why Haiti is the way it is today. We're gonna talk about that a little later on as well with this TPS stuff. But anyway, I digress. Okay. What Hill has never mentioned is how prominent and wealthy his family ancestors became on the backs of their many slaves. Creed Taylor, according to the 1860 U.S. Census slave schedules, he enslaved 70 people on his 1,500-acre cotton plantation in New Gascony, Arkansas. Letters from May 1861 show Taylor explicitly defending succession to protect his property in Land and Negroes, Pierce B. Grace. Creed, Taylor's son-in-law, an Irish immigrant and merchant, enslaved 11 people in 1860. By the way, that kind of debunks that lie that Irish people were slaves too. Boy, white people just lie all the time, don't they? All right. Asia Mackenzie, another direct maternal pioneer ancestor in this network, enslaved 59 people in 1860. So let's do the math right now, okay? So you got 59, which is 129, and then you got another, 11? So you had 150 slaves in your family. I'm going to tell you why that's important here in just a moment, okay? We need to talk a little Frenchy, don't we? According to Dr. Henry Louis Gates of the PBS program Finding Your Roots, owning 40 or more slaves placed a family in the top 1% of slaveholders. What? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What I just heard is what I didn't just read. Let me just read it just to make sure I heard what I just heard. Anyway, here we go. According to Dr. Henry Louis Gates, Finding Your Roots, owning 40 or more slaves placed a family in the top 1% of slaveholders. Of course, slavery was outlawed at the end of the Civil War, but Hill's ancestors did not let that stop them from continuing to profit. They made full use of the sharecropping and convict leasing systems for all practical purposes, keeping formerly enslaved people in economic bondage. Now, let me explain to you what I just read. So after the Civil War, they did what was called sharecropping. So they say, hey, you go out here, you till this land, we'll provide housing for you, we'll rent to you, and once you make so much money, you'll be free. A lot of ex-slaves did that, but they never became free because then they became the burden of the debt. They could never pay off the money that they owed to these landowners, the land that they had stolen, by the way. So they never were free. Y'all need to talk a little French in Arkansas. Okay? Y'all really do. In fact, Hill's family ancestors remained highly affluent and generationally wealthy well into the 20th century. John M. Gracie was French Hill's great-great-grandfather. He married into the wealthy family Taylor, the Taylor family, and greatly expanded the plantation, eventually controlling 3 interconnected plantations totaling about 26,000 acres, making it one of the largest single-owner plantations not in the city, not in the state, not in the South, but in the world. The historic Gracie Plantation main house still stands just south of Arkansas Highway 88. The family was so wealthy that they also owned a townhome that still stands at 502 East 7th Street in Little Rock, Arkansas. Now, you can't blame Hill for having ancestors who owned slavery. I'm sure many Arkansans can find someone in their family tree who owned slaves, but as many times as Hill brags about his deep Arkansas roots, you would tend to think he would acknowledge in passing how dependent that family was on the forced enslavement of human beings. I like to yell at the rally, say their names, but most of the names are forever lost. Hello? Y'all get this, right? The reason I'm bringing this up is because there has been another push for reparations for black people. And when white people run around and try to say that, oh, my family didn't benefit from slavery. By the way, Tom Cotton is another one from Arkansas. When y'all sit up there and even if you didn't own slaves, you benefited from slavery as white people. Free labor, rape, mutilation, beatings. Maybe that's why we're finding out now so many of these Republicans have raped young girls because they thought it was okay. That's in their history. That's in their history. In other African countries today, if they find out that you sexually assaulted a young girl underage, you're put to death. Excuse me. You're put to death. But in America, that was the norm. That's why Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump could get away with this. That's why so many of these white people voted for Donald Trump, because they look at it as, oh, it was okay. Now, I will tell you that it happens in the black community too. But that is a learned behavior from white men and the white community. That is not to exonerate black people, because if you sexually assault a young girl, you should go to jail. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's too many women out here for you to get your rocks off with, for you to be going to a young girl, underage, 12, 13 years old. That is utterly ridiculous. That's utterly preposterous. So, my point is this in reading this story, that if you're in Arkansas right now, in fact, we need to be doing research on every white politician in the South, period, especially if they're wealthy, especially if they have family wealth. Because you heard what I read, right? If you owned 40 plus slaves, you were pretty wealthy. But if you owned, they ultimately ended up owning 26,000 acres. That's a lot of damn acreage. And that's a lot of damn slaves. And it's ironic that French Hill, and let me just say this. I used to work at Arkansas Baptist College. I was the IT director there for about 2 years, okay, before I moved to Baltimore. And the brass, the black brass at Arkansas Baptist College, every time you looked around, French Hill was on campus. They loved them some French Hill, okay? And the reason they were that way is because French Hill was masquerading as someone who liked black people. See, what a lot of people don't understand, that area where Arkansas Baptist College is they want to gentrify it. It is about 4 blocks down the street from the Arkansas State Capitol. White people want to buy up all that land. And they really want Arkansas Baptist College. But the presidents and so on and so forth, they go and they, with their hats in their hands, asking those white politicians will they make donations to the college so the college can stay afloat, because it's been, unfortunately, it has been in financial straits over the last few years. French Hill is always on that campus. And it irks me to no end how those black board members fawn over French Hill. Here's a man that owned slaves. Here's a man that made his family made their bucks off of slavery. And I guarantee you not one of those people have ever asked French Hill, have never asked French Hill about this. I'm just trying to make a point here, is that reparations are owed. In fact, they are demanded. There is no excuse. What you did to our people, you have to not only repent, but you need to compensate. You're seeing more and more nations around the world demanding compensation for what you did, white people. And you can sit around and lie and say, well, today my family didn't own slaves. But I bet if we went back in your history, if we could go back and do a genealogical search, I bet you there's somebody in your family that owned slaves. You see, this is one of the reasons that they don't want to teach history anymore. This is one of the reasons that Donald Trump and his ilk are trying to destroy all the black monuments. They don't want to talk about Black Wall Street. They don't want to even, look, just last week, they had to be sued and stopped from tearing down the Harriet Tubman Memorial. You know, the Black Moses, as they called her. They don't want to teach you black history because their history is replete with rape, murder, lynchings. That's their history. Now look, some of you white people out there who are listening to this are going to get mad. You know what? Let me just be honest with you. I don't care. Because look, part of my history is my ancestors had to deal with that. You see, my daughter has done yeoman's work on tracing our family roots. I can tell you right now that the name Coleman goes back at least to 1820. Now, we haven't been able to find out where that name came from, but I can tell you that I had an ancestor who was on the Guerre plantation in northern Louisiana as far back as 1820. And I can tell you that that ancestor, she had 2 brothers and a husband. All of them were on that plantation. They ultimately moved that by the name. Her name was Annie Coleman. Her husband's name was Wallace Coleman. You know what? You know what boggles my mind? Is that my mother's brother, his name was Wallace Jr. So her father was named Wallace Sr., who was named after that slave that was on the Guerre plantation in Louisiana. Yeah, we've done the research now. And you know why I know? Because one thing that is clear is DNA doesn't lie. And my DNA tracks back to that plantation. Hello? Oh, and by the way, it also tracks back to Ghana and Nigeria. 75% of my DNA tells me I'm West African. That's where my DNA tracks back to. Okay? Never been there, but my DNA was there apparently. So what I'm saying is that when you hear these white people pretend like that they never benefited from slavery, every damn one of y'all did. Every damn one of y'all did. You benefited from rape. I was reading a piece the other day about how they used to punish slaves. You know, because the lie is that slaves loved it. They didn't mind being enslaved. That was a damn lie. They don't even tell you about some of the revolutions or some of the uprisings on the slave plantation. They kept those quiet and they erased them from the history books because they wanted to make sure that other slave plantations didn't get word of a uprising down the street or down the way. So then you won't be uprising on Papa Joe's plantation. Okay? So they erased a lot of that from the history books. But there are stories and accounts that were written actually by slaves. And one that stands out to me more than anything else, how they used to punish slaves. When they would whip a slave, they would whip him in front of the entire group of slaves. They would blister his back to the point where he was bleeding. And then they would pour salt and lime juice or lemon juice into the wounds. Those slaves that ran away often, you may not have seen these collars that they would put on slaves, but they would put a metal collar around their necks. And there were 3 extensions pointing upwards with bells on them. Okay? So every time that slave moved, those bells would ring. So if he tried to run away, it was easily to capture him because they could track the sound of the bells. Hello? They would also cover their mouths with this metal thing. And inside the metal mask or whatever it was, they would have other slaves to urinate and defecate inside that mask. And then they would put it over the slave's mouth. Don't believe me? Go read it for yourself. So if there's anyone out there who has the unmitigated gall to say that white people treated slaves good, I don't need you to be violent, but they need to be slapped in their damn mouths. Because if slavery was so good, why did you kill so many of them? If slavery was so good, why did you go to war and succeed from the Union? You knew it wasn't good. You all lived free. All you had to do every day was wake up to make sure the slaves were at the slave quarters and in the fields, and you sat around on your porches and drank mint juleps. And I say mint juleps because Annie Coleman from 1820 and her family, we don't know yet, but for some reason they ended up in Kentucky. And then they moved back to New Orleans. Now, again, I don't know how that came about. We're still researching. It really helps ground me, I should say, because I've been in search of my father. And here's the irony. We found him too. So, brothers and sisters, I'm really empowered today. Because see, when you know where your roots came from, then you know you can stand tall. You can stand tall. And even though my family were slaves, look at me now. Look at their offspring. The Coleman name will live on because of my son and my daughter. So French Hill, Tom Cotton, any of you white folks that want to defend slavery and don't want to pay reparations, it's coming. I may not ever see it in my lifetime, but it's coming. It needs to be done. Now, that's not going to absolve you from that peculiar institution, but it's a start. We'll take a break. We'll be back in a moment. It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
What's old is new again. The release of the Pain of Vengeance audiobook is finally here. A new generation, but the old story remains the same. What happens to an officer of the court when the tables of justice are turned against him? Will he abide or take the law into his own hands? Follow the saga of Malik Coleman as he makes decisions that will change lives forever. Be the first to hear it and hear it again. What would you do? Accept an unjust ruling or reject the system outright that views fathers as second-class citizens? Order The Pain of Vengeance today. Now available as an audiobook. The Pain of Vengeance will make you cheer, cry, laugh, and make you question equality and who truly benefits. Order The Pain of Vengeance audiobook by Dante Sinkay today. Attention entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and soon-to-be 501c3 organizations. My name is David W. Coleman, and I want to ask you a question. Are you looking for funding for your business or organization? The new year is upon us, and it's time to get those grant proposals ready. Deadlines for submittals will arrive quickly, and I can help you put your best business foot forward. There are multiple funding sources available to assist you in completing your mission. You just need to know where to look. If you are new to proposal writing and need tips on where to search for funding, this seminar is for you. I'll help you demystify some of the myths relating to grant writing. I'll give you great proposal writing tips to help you get your submission in the A-pile. I'll point you to funding sources that most people ignore when pursuing assistance. It doesn't matter if you are new to the game or a veteran in this space. I have no doubt there is information you can utilize to get the dollars flowing to your business or organization. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme, but tried and effective methods to be successful. If you want to know more, respond with the word grants in the comments below, and I will send you information on the very next Grants and Federal Assistance Seminar. In the meantime, keep looking for that funding, and I'll see you at the next Grants and Federal Assistance Seminar.
Welcome back to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me if you'd like to join the show. And just talking about French Hill, there were so many things that were popping in my mind at the time. So I didn't plan to have this in the show today, but I'd like to tell people that my show is fluid. And one of the things that I'm going to start teaching people is how to do podcasts, because I've been on a lot of podcasts over the last couple of months. And some of them are great, some of them are good, and some of them are horrible. And a lot of the ones that are horrible, some of them are okay. The okay and bad are the ones that simply have never done radio or television and don't really know how to put together a show. So in Chanbear Media and Associates, I should say Chanbear Media and Consultants, I'm going to teach people how to do that. But I want to just show you my notebook, all right? This is a book that I've been using now for quite a long time. This is where I write down, and you may not see that, but you can see something where it says block 1, block 2, things of that nature. I write down what I'm going to talk about. And not only do I write it down, I research it. So I tell people all the time that if I say something on my show and I'm incorrect, by all means, let me know, because this show is not to be cute. This show is not to get clicks. My show is to deliver facts. I want to be factually correct. Okay? That's important because it builds credibility more so than anything else. All right? So I went out during the break and I decided, because y'all don't realize how much the French owned America. Y'all just don't realize that. The Louisiana Purchase, it started in Louisiana. It goes all the way up through Canada. My God. It goes all the way up through Canada. Well, I should say the Louisiana Territory, the French territory. But the Louisiana Purchase ends at the Canadian border in 1805. Now, why is that important? Well, I'm glad you asked, because do I really want to get into this right now? No, let's save that for next. Well, no, let's go ahead and do it. So I decided that I was going to go out and pull up François Dominique Toussaint L'Ouverture. Okay. On May 20, he was born May 20th, 1743 and died April 7th, 1803. Also known as Toussaint L'Ouverture, was a Haitian general and the most prominent leader in the Haitian Revolution. During his life, L'Ouverture first fought and allied with Spanish forces against Saint Dominique royalist. Then joined the Republican of France, becoming Governor General for life of Saint Dominique. And lastly, fought against Bonaparte's Republican troops. Did you see that? If you didn't know Bonaparte, that was Napoleon Bonaparte. As a revolutionary leader, L'Ouverture displayed military and political acumen that helped transform the fledgling slave rebellion into a revolutionary movement. Along with Jean-Jacques Dessalines, another name you may have heard, L'Ouverture is now known as one of the fathers of Haiti and a figure of Haitian mythology, where he was celebrated as a founder of the black nation. He was born a slave in the French colony, Saint Dominique, now known as Haiti. He was a devout Catholic and was manumitted as an ex-slave before French Revolution. He became a salaried employee. Through the years of his power, he worked to balance the economic security of Saint Dominique. Worried about the economy, which had stalled, he restored the plantation system using paid labor, negotiated trade agreements with the United Kingdom and the United States, and maintained a large and well-trained army. Now, why is that important? Because what I'm saying to you, and what a lot of you all don't understand, is, and we're going to talk about TPS next segment, is that part of the reason that Haiti is in such a dire strait today is because of white people, and because of that ass whooping that Toussaint L'Ouverture and Dessalines gave them. Okay? Because did y'all know Haiti has been paying France for decades? Did y'all know that? Now wait a minute. France didn't belong in Haiti. They enslaved people. They fought for their liberation and then had to pay for their liberation. So in other words, France got reparations for losing Haiti. This goes back to what we were talking about earlier in the show. Oh, I didn't tell you all, if you didn't know, that you know that white slave owners got reparations. Which reminds me, French Hill, how much money did your white family get because of the Civil War? How much reparations did your family get? You own 26,000 acres. So don't sit here and tell me that you didn't benefit from slavery, because your family got reparations. But you don't want to give black people reparations. Oh, I get it. What's good for the goose is not necessarily good for the gander. We know that white people robbed the Freedman's Bureau and the Freedman's Bank. We know that white slave owners got reparations and black people got nothing but the end of a shotgun or the end of a rope. But I just wanted to throw that out there, because as we get ready to talk about TPS next segment, I wanted you all to understand these lies and how Haiti ended up the way it is today. And many of you all make fun of Haiti black people. Why would you do that? When that was the first nation in the world to free themselves from slavery, the peculiar institution of slavery. It was Haiti. You see, this world has done a great job on dividing us. We as black people ought to be supporting Haiti hook, line, and sinker. Hand over fist. Because that was the first nation that showed us that you can overcome slavery. And by the way, that's the reason we now have places like Arkansas, because Arkansas was part of the Louisiana Purchase. Oklahoma, Mississippi, Kentucky, Nebraska, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, and I'm sure I'm missing some. That's why. Yeah, that's why. And see, that's what they're not telling you. And if you don't read your history, if you don't simply understand what's going on, you young people that are sitting in class right now, and you're not paying attention to geography, or you're not paying attention to social studies, you're not paying attention to maps, they don't want you to pay attention. They don't teach you about Toussaint L'Ouverture and Dessalines. They don't. They're not interested in teaching you that, because then you begin to realize just how this country came into being. You begin to realize that Toussaint and Jean-Jacques were some bad mothers. Shut your mouths. Now, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make this whole segment, the first part of the show, a history lesson, but you know, it kind of came out that way, and we needed that. We need to understand history, because there are things that are going on right now in this country that if we don't really reach back and understand what happened, we're going to sit back and allow it to happen again. And that's to our folly. It is important for you all to understand that those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. So, you know, I'm kind of glad I kind of went off on that tangent with Haiti, but it's certainly apropos for what's going on today. I'm kind of glad that we talk about history and we're not afraid to open up. And even though it's painful, look, when we went back and did the research on my ancestors, then traced them back to Louisiana, and ultimately they ended up in New Orleans. You know, maybe that's why I love Cajun food. It's kind of funny. And you know, at one point I was talking to my daughter, and I was thinking about moving to Ghana. Maybe that's my ancestors, their DNA was calling me to move to Ghana. No, I don't know anybody there. I just wanted to be there. Maybe that's why I love New Orleans so much. And gumbo. And beignets. And, you know, and all the things that go with Louisiana. Maybe it's in my DNA. In fact, it's not a maybe, it is. It's important to know where you came from. Now, our research stopped at slaves, Annie Coleman and Wallace Coleman. But we know it extends far beyond that. Anyway, we're going to take a break. Top of the hour is here. We got to take one. We'll be back in a moment. It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
What's old is new again. The release of the Pain of Vengeance audiobook is finally here. A new generation, but the old story remains the same. What happens to an officer of the court when the tables of justice are turned against him? Will he abide or take the law into his own hands? Follow the saga of Malik Coleman as he makes decisions that will change lives forever. Be the first to hear it and hear it again. What would you do? Accept an unjust ruling or reject the system outright that views fathers as second-class citizens. Order The Pain of Vengeance today, now available as an audiobook. The Pain of Vengeance will make you cheer, cry, laugh, and make you question equality and who truly benefits. Order The Pain of Vengeance audiobook by Dante Sinkay today.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman.
All right, welcome back to Black Focus Radio, the second hour of the show. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. We talk a lot about the things that are affecting the Black community and the world as a whole. So glad you joined me. I hope you'll tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, and be sure to support our sponsors, JoinetRadio.com, RibRub.com, and now Chanbear Media Consultants. Okay? Please do that. Now, if you've got a podcast, you don't really know where you're going, you need somebody to help you with it. Maybe you're an author, okay? Maybe you just want to get your hands around social media. Maybe you need some editing for your upcoming book. Chanbear Media Consultants can do all of that for you. So if you're interested, give me a call, 615-554-0568. Send me an email at chanbearmediaconsultants@gmail.com. We'll get back to you. We'll set up a consultation. Then we'll go from there. There's no holds barred here. You don't have to buy anything like some people. Well, to talk to you, I'm going to charge you $50. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk to you. I'll give you a 15, 20-minute consultation on what needs to be done, and then we'll talk money after that. Okay? Chanbear Media Consultants, my new business. I think you'll enjoy it. I bring 40 years of media experience along with computer technology to the marketplace. Look forward to hearing from you. Now, let's talk about a couple of things this hour, okay? We're going to definitely try to talk about a little more of, this is really a history, but we're going to talk a little bit more about, let's see, we got to get James Carville in here and these Democrats, because the Democrats right now are, they're just up in arms with black folk, okay? And they up in arms with Mondami as well. You know, they tripping. This is a new day, my brothers and sisters. I'm 65 years old, and I am so glad that people are beginning to demand from their politicians what they should have been demanding all along. But before we get into that, let's read this. This is the Bible Belt, okay? It's also called the divorce belt, the teen pregnancy belt, the obesity belt, the murder belt, the poverty belt, the high school dropout belt, the uneducated belt, the MAGA belt, the prison belt, the disease belt. And you know the irony about this? That all of those states that are in this belt, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida, all of them are ran by Republicans. So either they're smart or you all are dumb as boxes of rocks. And I would say that it's the latter. They've used race to divide you stupid people. And yeah, if you're mad because I'm calling you stupid, well, guess what? You're stupid. Because anytime you vote against your own people, your own interest because of race, you're a dumbass. I'm just going to be real with you. And that's what's going on right now with these so-called Bible Belt people. So, I want to talk a little bit before we move forward. I want to talk about TPS because the Supreme Court, which is, yeah, there needs to be term limits. In fact, in my opinion, there need to be every office that is elected, it need to be term limited. No one should be able to live and make a living off the American people for 30, 40 years. Mitch McConnell is a classic example of that. Mitch McConnell should have been out the Senate a long time ago. And right now, late last week, we found out that he's been hospitalized. But you know what? They won't even tell you if he's dead. You know why they won't tell you if he's dead? Because if he dies, the governor of the state of Kentucky, he gets to appoint his successor to fill that seat to the end of the term. Right? Do you all realize that, right? So they won't even give you an update on his medical status. For all we know, Turtle Man could be dead right now. But nobody will tell us. But the bottom line is, he shouldn't have been in that office as long as he's been. None of them. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. You ought to be term limited out. You've been living off the American people for decades. It's time to go. That meant Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, any of these guys who's been in there 20. Look, at the end of the day, after 2 terms, if you can't get what you need done, you bye. You see, what makes it great, what we thought made America great, is that you refresh the ground so others can rise up. If you got the same people standing on top of the ground, the root system dies. And then you begin to support causes that are not for the American people, but for your special interests. AIPAC is a classic example of that. Because a lot of these Democrats are upset. And since I brought it up, I guess we'll go ahead and jump on this situation. A lot of the Democrats now are upset because Mondami has caused what they call them now Democratic socialists. And these people are demanding the government do what they're supposed to do for the people, not for other countries like Israel, where you're sending them $8 billion a year, where they can get free health care, where they can get sent free education, send their kids to college. How is it that a country that we're supporting can do what they do free for their people and we can't? And they're doing it on our tax dollars. And because you're beginning to see more and more of these young people who are, and these people are not Republican or Democrat. They're proudly Democratic socialists. See, the argument is, and the red flag has always been, if you do that, then that's socialism. Let me tell you what socialism is. Have you driven your car lately? When was the last time you drove your car? Did you have potholes? In other words, you actually had roads, right? You don't drive around on a dirt road, do you? I remember back in the day when we had to drive around, they would come by and they put tar on the road and then they put gravel over the tar. I don't even do that anymore. Then you got nice paved roads. Why is that? Because your government, your state, local and federal government takes care of your roads. If there's a pothole, for instance, if there's a pothole, you know what? You know what you do? You call your government and you say, there's a pothole at so-and-so street. Somebody needs to come out and fix it. You know what happens? They come out and fix it. That's socialism, folks. You ever had a fire? Okay. You know who shows up? It's not the neighbors with buckets showing up and pouring water on the fire. It's not the neighbors. It's something called the fire department that is funded by, guess what? Taxpayer dollars. You know what that's called? That's socialism. Somebody breaks in your house. You call the police, right? Even though the police were established as slave hunters back in the day, you call the police. 5-0. They come, they examine, they try to find out who did it. You find out who did it, you then go to court. That's socialism. You know that? This argument about there's a free market system is a lie. And, socialism isn't bad. When you fly on a plane and that plane takes off and then it lands and you get to your destination and then you come back. When they land on those airports are built by your tax dollars. You know that is socialism. Y'all follow me? Because it's important for you all to understand. This has nothing to do with communism. This is putting your money together in a pot so that everybody can benefit. That's called socialism. That's what socialism is, to be totally honest. This country has been doing that for decades. But see, the Republicans like to think it as a boogeyman. It's not a boogeyman. We all benefit from it. And rightfully so. I've seen film of some of the old days when they used to drive on dirt roads. In fact, I've been out in the country where even today there are dirt roads. They're gravel covered roads with potholes. The roads flood and half the road falls off into the ditch. I've seen that. But you know what happens? Eventually the county comes out and fixes that road. That's socialism. So for Republicans and Democrats to be trying to make an argument about these Democratic socialists are being elected, y'all are upset because, look, some of the American people are finally beginning to wake up. The Republican Party made an argument that America first, America first. We've been hearing that for years, but they've done nothing that was America first. It has been nothing but a punchline. Where's the substance to that phrase? It's a big tent. We invite everybody. That's what the Democrats used to say. We invite everybody into this big tent. But as soon as someone comes in that is counter to what your basic argument is, you set them aside. That's what they've done to the progressives. So just this past week, 3 Democratic socialists were nominated for the Democratic seats. And the Democratic establishment is up in arms. They're mad. And one of those people is James Carville. Y'all know James, right? The bald-headed Louisiana that was behind the Clintons and he gets on and he can make these little quips and everybody laughs at Carville and he's supposed to be some type of guru when it comes to electing presidents. He elected let one president get elected and all of a sudden he's this guru. You're talking about somebody who's out of touch with reality. Last week he got on one of the shows and said, "I'm done with the Democratic Party." You know how you talk. I'm just so tired. Anytime that we can elect people who is anti-Israel, then I'm done with them. Let me take a side note. I'm putting it off on the side right now. Did y'all know? Let me check this out. Check this out. Did you all know that Israelis would camp up on the hillside over Palestine with their children and with binoculars and watch as the Israeli army bombed Palestine? Did y'all know that? What does that remind you of if you know your history? You know what they do now? They don't camp up on the hillside. They go to certain areas in Israel and they have a video feed where they bring lunch and food. They serve food and drink. And from the video feed, they're watching the Israeli Air Force bomb Palestinian towns, killing men, women, and children. The numbers today say about 70,000 Palestinians have been killed from these bombings. And you've got these people, Israelis, who are, and I saw the video, and they're sitting there and they're laughing, and they're like, boom, and they're applauding. What does that remind you of? You got your hand raised? I'm raising my hand. Mr. Coleman, I got an answer for you. Well, son, that's David Coleman back there. Hey, Dave, glad you're in class. What is your answer? Why do you think, or what does that remind you of? Those Israeli settlers who are cheering the bombings of Palestinian towns that are killing men, women, and children. What does that remind you of? I know, Dave, I know you know history. So what does that remind you of? Well, I'm glad you asked. It reminds me of the lynchings back in the early 1900s, where white people would show up at a lynching, bring their kids. They would take pictures and made postcards of black men and women and children being hung, being set afire, their bodies being mutilated. And they would be smiling. They would be laughing. So you understand the correlation here, right? What the Israelis are doing right now to the Palestinians in broadcasting these bombings so that their people can watch, laugh, and applaud, that's the same BS that they were doing when they were hanging out people. You know what's common as well? They're white. Those were white people who were making those postcards. Those are so-called white Jews, Ashkenazi Jews, that are showing up and applauding men, women, and children being murdered, being genocided, because that's what's going on. So James Carville last week is upset that so many people are beginning to realize what we've been doing with our American dollars. Whether you Democrats or Republicans. And it really got exposed with Mike Huckabee. When Tucker Carlson, and look, I don't like Tucker Carlson, but I got to give the dude credit. He opened up a can of whoop ass on Mike Huckabee, the current ambassador of Israel. By the way, you Arkansas fans who are listening to this show, did you know that you all have invested over close to, is it $100 million? I believe that's the number, in Israeli bonds through Mike Huckabee and Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Did y'all know that? But Tucker Carlson took Huckabee to task because Huckabee basically said Israel can do anything they want. And Israel's ultimate goal is to take over the entire Middle East. They're not telling you that, but that's what they're doing. These are white people. Remember I said earlier in the show in the tease, there were three white men who have us on the brink of disaster in the world. One of them is Benjamin Netanyahu. The other one is Donald J. Trump. And the other one is Vladimir Putin. These are three white men in their 70s or 70 plus who are afraid of losing power, and they are doing everything they can to destroy anyone that comes up against them. Don't believe me? Name somebody else. Every one of them has their finger on a nuclear bomb. I just read an article this past week, in fact yesterday, where some are suggesting that Israel will be the first to use a nuclear bomb since World War II. Oh. Hello? Oh, by the way, if you didn't know your history, America is the only country that has ever used a nuclear bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Hello? I'm just saying. Oh, by the way, the persons who pulled that trigger was a white man. You see, when their interest is not being served, they'd rather destroy it. Now, I'm not saying that the Japanese were right in what they were doing in World War II, their imperial army. But I'm just simply saying to you that you all need to start paying attention to what's going on here. So here we are right now, right this moment, having to deal with these people. And no one wants to understand that the voting populace is tired. We shouldn't be sending $8 billion to Israel when you're cutting food stamps, when you're cutting AFDC, when you're upset that Mandami has frozen the rent in New York for 2 years. Did you know that a single bedroom apartment in New York costs $3,200? A 2-bedroom, and I was listening to this on the news, a 2-bedroom could cost you up to $6,000. That's ridiculous. No wonder there's so much homelessness in this country. No wonder there's so much homelessness in New York. People are not making those wages. Now, they're increasing rents, but our wages are not increased. Every time there is an opportunity to vote for a minimum wage increase, it's voted down. And unfortunately, a lot of times it's by the people because they bought this line, hook, line, and sinker that, hey, if you increase wages, then you're going to lose jobs. So it's okay for you to work for $7.25 or whatever the minimum wage is. So and you struggle and you got 3 kids. And then, of course, by the way, they cut your food stamps. I saw the day where food stamps, some of these people only getting $24 a month. Who the hell? What the hell? I was in the grocery store the other day and it wasn't even a pound of ground beef. It cost $11.39. So, okay, I'm going to use my food stamp card, right? Well, if you eat ground beef, I'm saying ground beef. I'm not saying steak. I'm saying scraps because that's what ground beef is, if y'all don't know that. It's scraps from beef that they've shaved off steak and fat and whatever the case may be that they can't sell. And then they put it in a grinder and they make ground beef. I'm just being real with you. And you're paying $11.79 for not even a full pound? But this is what the American people are going through right now. And it ain't a black or white thing. It's a human thing. Hello? It's a human thing. So the question we need to start asking ourselves, are we really America first? And are the people that we elect in office, are they America first? Because it's pretty clear. When you go out and look at some of this money that AIPAC is spending on our politicians, some of this money that some of these corporations are spending on our politicians, just this past week, the Supreme Court said that no one could sue Monsanto and Bayer. Monsanto has been poisoning this country for decades and causing cancer. And the Supreme Court said that they can no longer be sued. What? Is this America first? I'm talking to you, Republican. I'm talking to you, traditional Democrat. How many of you all have been taking money from Monsanto? How many of y'all have been taking money from AIPAC? This is crazy. This angers me, and it should anger every American. You should be looking at, okay, who's donating to your politician that you say you love? It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. Who's making that donation to you? Okay? Because if I give you money, then I expect something in return. I expect for you to vote the right way on that bill that's going to come forward. I expect for you to rule the right way on that bill that's going to come forward. And by the way, if you hadn't seen it, I posted something on my wall about McDonald's. If you are eating McDonald's food, you are being poisoned. There's a reason why there are so many people with cancer. There's a reason why so many people have diabetes. It's the food that we're eating, and we've got government officials who are applauding that with their hands out to these corporations and expecting a payout. And well, we're not going to rule against y'all. We're not going to pass a law to stop that. I often say that even ice cream is not even ice cream anymore. When I was a kid growing up, we used to make ice cream. People don't even do that anymore. And when you go to the store, it says a frozen dairy product. It doesn't even say ice cream. Chocolate is not chocolate anymore. It's some hydrogenated oil crap. When I was growing up, I could eat a Snickers bar, and boy, that Snickers sure tastes good. I could eat a Hershey bar, and Hershey was autonomous with chocolate. You're not even getting chocolate in your chocolate bars anymore. All because of your politicians. So when James Carville gets upset because we are, by the way, we do live in a democracy. It is for the people, by the people. When you get upset when people begin to elect politicians who are going to do things like Zoran Mamdani is doing, then your ass don't need to be in the Democratic Party. You are a relic. And look, I'm 65 years old. But I agree with some of these changes that some of these politicians are going to make. If you tell me you're America first, then I expect you to be America first. I don't expect you to be taking $25, $30, $40, $100,000 from lobbyists, particularly AIPAC, where my kids have got to take out loans to go to college. Whereas in Israel, their kids go free. Hello? Free child care. And then you want to attack the politician that is saying, who is running on that campaign, on that platform, and say, oh, well, he's not for America. Yeah, he is for America. You're the one that has benefited. See, James Carville can sit on his ass right now, and he don't have to make a penny. He don't have to hit a lick at a snake. You know why? Because he's got a lot of money from lobbyists. And I guarantee you AIPAC was one of them. So he's trying to defend his interest. Ricky Torres in New York is another one. I could go down a list. Look, don't agree with me. Go look for your damn self. I'm going to tell you, I'm sorry for the profanity, but this angers me. Senior citizens are living on scraps. They're talking about taking my Social Security. I started working at 13 years old, and I paid that money into Social Security all my life. And now you're telling me that I can't get it? You're trying to privatize it? That's a problem. Every American citizen ought to be upset with this. This is not a black or white issue. This is not a Republican or Democrat issue. This is a people issue. This is an American citizen issue. And every one of you all should be up in arms about this. So when you, James Carville, try to chastise us for voting for people who is going to serve the people, I'm just going to be clear with you. You can kiss my round brown. And on that note, we're going to cover this TPS thing here in a moment. We'll be back in a moment. I'm sorry, I got a little upset in that segment. I'm usually pretty cool, you know what I'm saying? But I'm tired of these politicians. That's why I tell you in a minute, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm going to vote for the guy who's in my best interest. And if it's a democratic socialist, because we all live under a semi-socialist economy and country, so be it. Because I want you to serve me first. I don't want you to serve Israel first. I don't want you to serve Great Britain or Canada or Mexico or South Korea or wherever you're sending your money. I want to make sure that the taxpayers and the money that I earn in this country that I pay taxes for, I want to make sure that it's going to come to our people first. And when I say our people, I'm not just talking about black people. I'm talking about white people. I'm talking about Hispanic people. I'm talking about Asian people and Arab people who are legitimate American citizens. We only deserve that much. Back in a moment. It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
What's old is new again. The release of the Pain of Vengeance audiobook is finally here. A new generation, but the old story remains the same. What happens to an officer of the court when the tables of justice are turned against him? Will he abide or take the law into his own hands? Follow the saga of Malik Coleman as he makes decisions that will change lives forever. Be the first to hear it and hear it again. What would you do? Accept an unjust ruling or reject the system outright that views fathers as second-class citizens? Order The Pain of Vengeance today. Now available as an audiobook. The Pain of Vengeance will make you cheer, cry, laugh, and make you question equality and who truly benefits. Order The Pain of Vengeance audiobook by Dante Sinkay today. Barbecue season is here and you're still using that 99-cent goop full of chemical derivatives and high fructose corn syrup for your sauce? Stop, please. Get to ribrub.com now and save your next cookout with an array of all natural rubs and sauces. Start with the Dynamic Rib Dust for seasoning and the Dynamic Rib Rub for flavor, and top off your grilled or smoked masterpiece with Dynamic Rib Juice. Don't forget the Dynamic Pepper Juice for just the right kick for those chicken wings. One other thing, you've got to try the delectably delicious Dynamic Rib Nuts. Can't decide? Order a Dynamic gift box and satisfy all of your cravings. Come on, give me your hand and let me take you to barbecue land at ribrub.com. That's RIBBRUBB.com, and we'll show you how to bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah.
Welcome back to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. Yeah, I was a little angry last segment. I'd like to apologize. I went and got me some of my lemonade and took a couple of shots of that, and I've calmed down a little bit. And I want to apologize to the people that's going to be listening to this on Jordan, because I let a couple of them fly last segment. I charged it to my head and not to my heart. But I'm tired. No, I'm not tired. I'm tired. Okay? When you hear a black person say they tired, then you need to leave them alone. And I'm tired right now. I'm tired of this political dance of Democrat and Republican. We need to have more than two parties. See, that's the damn problem. We got a two-party system that is only serving themselves. They're not serving the people. You know, right now, James Tallarico is worried. There was an article that was posted last week from Texas that they automatically think, because he's a Democrat, that the black voters in Texas are going to run to his shelter. And what they're beginning to realize, and what we talked about this on the show, on a previous show, that black people we're not a monolith. We demand something for our vote. And what the Democratic Party has been doing over the years is that they've been expecting black people to automatically vote for Democrats because of what the Republican Party stands for. And it boils down to the least of two evils. Well, you know what I'm saying? Let me just make a quick analogy. You know, they always say that a left wing and a right wing is part of the same bird, but let me just be a little bit more graphic, okay? Let's say that the Republican Party stabs me in the back. The Democrat Party is standing in front of me, and they walk up and they kick me in the groin. Hell, I got pain both ways. And that's what black people are beginning to say. And that's what this is what I've been saying all along, is black people should be a block. And you can no longer come to our community and say, oh, I'm a Democrat, you got to vote for me. Or you got to deal with the Republicans. What black people are doing, and I don't necessarily agree with it, but I certainly understand it, that, okay, I just won't vote at all. And that's what's been happening. You got to come and show us that you want our vote. And the people in Texas are saying the same thing. I got on Hollis Schaffner's ass the other day, because Hollis Schaffner is running against Tom Cotton. And not one time have I seen anything in her platform that is saying something that's going to benefit black people. She just says, I'm a Democrat. Okay? That dog ain't gonna hunt anymore. And James Tallarico and his crew are beginning to realize that, hey, y'all crapped on Jasmine Crockett. That girl, that woman fought hard for everything that was colored. That means Hispanics, that means Asians, that means Arabs, and of course black people. And what did y'all do? Y'all dogged that sister. Oh, she too ghetto. She can't win. The only person that was fighting for you, she was already in Congress. Now you're going to hire a so-called Christian, and that guy can't even relate to black people. I told y'all this was going to happen, and I will not be surprised if he loses to another child, what do you call him? Another incorrigible individual in Dan Patrick. I wouldn't be surprised. See, the Democratic Party hadn't learned. See, y'all have been operating with the same concept of, hey, they black, they don't have nowhere else to go, they got to vote for us. Well, black people are saying, hey, no, we're not voting for y'all. I can't get mad at them about that. I just can't. I'm going to show you an example of that. But let's talk about this TPS ruling real fast. Last week, the Supreme Court cleared the way for the federal government to remove protections for citizens of Haiti and Syria under a federal program that allows foreign citizens to stay in the United States when the U.S. government believes that it is not safe for them to return to their homes. By a 6-3 vote, the justices paused rulings by federal courts in Washington, D.C. and New York that had barred the Trump administration from ending the designations under the program known as the temporary protective status for Haiti and Syria. Instead, the court ruled that the federal law created the TPS program generally bars courts from reviewing the determinations by then Secretary of Homeland Kristi Noem to end the TPS designations. The court also ruled that the Haitian TPS holders are likely to lose on the claim that Noem ended TPS status for Haiti because the country's citizens are overwhelmingly black and therefore violated the Constitution's guarantee of equal treatment. Let me just say this real fast. I agree. Not with TPS, but why they were against it. This Trump administration is the modern day Ku Klux Klan. That's what the Heritage Foundation is. If y'all haven't done the history. You see, all they did was take off their white robes and put on red ties. Y'all understand this, right? That's all they did. There's enough evidence now to show you that these people are racist. They are anti-black. And what this policy has been, this is just another brick in the wall of a racist policy of the Trump administration trying to keep black people out of this country. Okay? If they had a chance, they would get rid of black people. They hadn't figured out how they could do that now. But they're trying because, see, they want America to be all white. You say I'm just being hyperbolic. Really? So we have a problem with immigration right now, and people coming to America and taking jobs from Americans. Why the hell is the Trump administration importing white South Africans? Notice I said white South Africans. Remember, it was Donald Trump who called black countries S-hole countries, right? Why can't we get more people from Scandinavia and those places? Remember that quote? The attack on the Somalis in Minnesota is a direct relation to their bigotry and racism. They're trying to get any people of color out of this country. And what does it go back to? Y'all know I got to talk about my girl, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. Frances Cress Welsing said by 2042, the white population will be the minority in America. In some states, they are already the minority. In quite a few states. So remember just a few months ago, the Trump administration was trying to give $5,000 to anybody who had a baby, particular, and he didn't say it, but he was really directing that to white women. They even suggested that young teenage girls should start having more babies. Now, if you've ever raised a child, you know that $5,000 is going to be gone in a month. The reason they're doing that is because their population is dying. Look, you don't have to be a geneticist to understand that the black gene is the dominant gene. The white skin is an anomaly in nature. That's why people are so fascinated about white tigers. You don't see them in nature that much. They are an anomaly. Albinism is an absence of melanin, of the color pigmentation. That's what albinism is. That's an anomaly. How many times did you see black people birthing albino children? It happens, but it doesn't happen on a regular basis because that's an anomaly. Skin color is an anomaly. White people are the ones that created race. White, black. Black people had nothing to do with that. They are the ones who created the categories of race in America, in the world, as a matter of fact. So all of this stuff, TPS, keeping countries that have people of color from coming into the United States. Stephen Miller is the architect of that, by the way. All of this stuff is because of racism and prejudice. And you know, the funny thing about it to me is they all try to hide behind the Bible. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. Oh, the good Lord, this, that. You know what? You know, I'm neither, but I have my roots in Christianity. I also have some roots in Islam. I've read both the Quran and the Bible. I will tell you that those people that profess the most are the worst. That includes some of the Islamic people. That includes some of the Christian nationalists. In fact, I'll say all Christian nationalists. Because when you get to a point where it's okay, you say you're pro-life, but you make a woman who has a dead fetus in her womb carry that fetus for 9 months, and that woman ends up dying, that ain't pro-life. When you say that it's okay for kids to starve to death, that ain't pro-life. So I don't know what Bible y'all are reading, but if you believe in the Bible and Jesus came back today, every one of y'all would be running through hell with gasoline draws on. Don't wait till he comes back and repent. You need to repent now. He's going to ask you, well, what did you do for the least of my brothers and sisters? Were you part of the crew that cut off food stamps for the elderly? Were you part of the crew who cut subsidies for housing? Huh? Because you're going to come to that reckoning. Were you part of the crew that was raping little girls and covered it up? Were you part of the crew that benefited from slavery and you raped and maimed and murdered my creations? I'm just asking here. Don't get mad at me. But what I want you all to understand is that this whole thing is about racism. This whole thing is about white is right. And that's a sad commentary, because I thought by the time I got my age that all of that crap would be gone. I believe that a multicultural society could happen. And now we're realizing that it ain't gonna happen anytime soon. And that's frustrating. It should be frustrating to you, and it's certainly frustrating to me. But see, the thing is, I didn't vote for those people. Some of y'all did. Some of y'all who are complaining right now didn't vote at all, because y'all could have stopped this. You know, the Heritage Foundation, Project 2025, you know, I saw something the other day where I think they said they've got something like 70% of their agenda now in government. The Heritage Foundation is a racist white-wing organization that has basically fed judges money and groomed them to take over this country. These rich people don't care about you. I always use the analogy. You got a rich man sitting at the table. He's got a stack of biscuits in front of him. Right across from him is a Arab, a black man, a Hispanic man. And let's throw in an Asian guy. Each one of them in front of them, they've got one biscuit. And he points at all four of those guys interchangeably and says, you need to be careful of that guy sitting next to you. He's going to take your biscuit. And instead of us looking at the rich guy with a stack of biscuits in front of him and saying, no, we want one of your biscuits, we look at the guy next to us and say, and we fight them. You're doing exactly what they want you to do, folks. How is it that you can own $1 trillion? How is it that, look, you could take $1 trillion and you could solve world hunger? You don't care. Do you, Elon Musk? Do you, Jeff Bezos? And all you rich people. This is why I'm so tough on these rappers. Because they benefited from us. They made their money on us. And now that they're above, they step on us and crap on us and don't care. I heard one producer say the other day that he said he don't blame Trump. He tried to use Dr. King's analogy. He said Dr. King died broke. Okay? But look at the legacy that he left. He didn't die broke mentally. Look at his children. He said, that's why I support Trump. This was a black guy. We got a problem. We got to take our last break. Coming back with what we must do. It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
Barbecue season is here, and you're still using that 99-cent goop full of chemical derivatives and high fructose corn syrup for your sauce? Stop, please. Get to ribrub.com now and save your next cookout with an array of all-natural rubs and sauces. Start with the Dynamic Rib Dust for seasoning and the Dynamic Rib Rub for flavor, and top off your grilled or smoked masterpiece with Dynamic Rib Juice. Don't forget the Dynamic Pepper Juice for just the right kick for those chicken wings. One other thing, you've got to try the delectably delicious Dynamic Rib Nuts. Can't decide? Order a Dynamic gift box and satisfy all of your cravings. Come on, give me your hand and let me take you to barbecue land at ribrub.com. That's RIBBRUBB.com, and we'll show you how to bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah. What's old is new again. The release of the Pain of Vengeance audiobook is finally here. A new generation, but the old story remains the same. What happens to an officer of the court when the tables of justice are turned against him? Will he abide or take the law into his own hands? Follow the saga of Malik Coleman as he makes decisions that will change lives forever. Be the first to hear it and hear it again. What would you do? accept an unjust ruling, or reject the system outright that views fathers as second-class citizens. Order The Pain of Vengeance today, now available as an audiobook. The Pain of Vengeance will make you cheer, cry, laugh, and make you question equality and who truly benefits. Order The Pain of Vengeance audiobook by Dante Sinkay today.
Welcome back to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me if you'd like to join the show. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today. We are at the last segment of the show. It's called What We Must Do. This is why I take all the stuff that we've been talking about and wrap it up in a nice little bow and present it to you and ask you, what are you going to do about it? Because that's what we need to start doing. We need to start having these candid conversations. What I talk about is not to hurt anyone's feelings. What I talk about is try to make you think. Because what is going on in America today is not what should be going on. And we need more and more people to start making that statement. This is why I want to help people with their podcasts. This is why one of the reasons I put together Chanbear Media Consultants. Because I want to help you develop your podcast so that you can talk about meaningful things that will help your communities. By the way, you can call me at 615-554-0568. Send me an email at chanbearmediaconsultants@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you, and we'll talk about your podcast so we can make it better for all of us. Okay? Because I'll be honest, some of the ones I've heard are bad. They're terrible. They're terrible. So, this segment, I want to talk a little bit about things that we have to do moving forward. And it's important for us to understand why we must do that. Look, I talk all the time about we got to start shopping in black businesses. I was on the show earlier today talking about that very thing. We've got to start supporting one another. And I know I talk about that a lot, but it is so important for us to understand that. We have to start demanding that our politicians are going to do what we say, not what they want to do. Because what we've seen now, more and more and more, that these politicians get elected to office and they're more concerned about who's bankrolling their campaigns as opposed to the people that voted them there. I say this all the time. The only other people that lie more than politicians are college football coaches. And they're one and the same. You've got one now, a former college football coach. Well, two of them. Both of them from Alabama. Nick Saban, who's trying to keep some of these young black players from making all the money that they're making. And then number two, you've got Tommy Tuberville, who's been lying literally all his life, who made money off of black athletes, who now wants to be the governor of Alabama, yet he lives in Florida. And he's lying and said, oh, no, I don't live in Florida. I got a house in Alabama. They lie to you, folks, and you all take it. You all don't even try to make them stand up for what they believe in. And this is just not to black people. This is for everybody that's voting, that you've got to start making a decision here, that we're going to make them stand up and be who they say they are. You got to start. You got to make them, because if you don't make them, they won't. That's been the problem. That's been the problem. We stand on a precipice of disaster. Inflation is up, wages are down, food prices are up. At one point, gas was $6-7 a gallon. Y'all think that's okay? Y'all think y'all would rather have that and allow somebody to lie to you as a politician as opposed to saying, no, we're not taking this anymore? And it's okay that someone has been accused of sexual assault and child rape, has a 34-count convicted felon. It's okay for him to run this country, and you all still believe that that's okay. It doesn't matter if you're black or white. There's something wrong with your mentality if you want that to represent you. I am embarrassed No, I didn't vote for him, but still he represents me. I'm an American, and he represents me as he goes abroad. Some of the things that he says, some of the things that he prints on his social media account is unbecoming to a president. I want you all, that you have children, how many of you all would like your child to grow up and be like Donald Trump? Now, that's a rhetorical question, but it's a question that you probably need to ask. You saw a week or so ago how many white, black, Hispanic, it didn't matter, cheered Barack Obama for the opening of his museum in Chicago. They cheered him because it reminded us of what a president should be, how he should act presidential. He shouldn't be cussing out people. He shouldn't be disrespecting women. He shouldn't be disrespecting minorities. He shouldn't be disrespecting our allies. Yeah, we can disagree with some of the policies that they put forward, but at the end of the day, the decorum that you should carry, you should respect that office. And he doesn't. He's told you that he doesn't care about the American people. He doesn't care about the taxes. He cares about his family. He's trying to make sure that his children are set up. And you're seeing even other countries are turning their backs on the Trumps when they come in and try to throw their money around. They've had enough. When is the American people going to have enough of these people? And people like him, the Jeff Bezos of the world, the Elon Musk of the world, the Trumps of the world, and any of these other so-called millionaires. I've had enough of some of these so-called rich rappers. I've been talking about it a lot. I don't care if they get mad at me. What are you doing for your community? The community that you sold poison to. I grew up with a brother who was a drug dealer. I could never forgive him because some of my friends got addicted to crack cocaine that he was selling in our community. I can tell you story after story of meeting when I came back to Little Rock and saw some of my friends who had been caught and not only caught selling it, but had become addicted to it. Some of the girls that I knew whose bodies had been destroyed by crack cocaine because someone I knew theoretically sold that crap to them. Don't give me this mess about, well, they didn't bring it into our community, but yet you were the conduit to our community. So no, I can't forgive him. I can't forgive any of you all who have devastated our community, whether it's in selling drugs, whether it's propagating alcohol or propagating speech that has done nothing more than destroy the minds of our young people. And that's what some of you all's music has done. And now you want to be like you somebody, like Uncle Luke is running for a Congress seat in Florida. Why the hell would anybody want you in Congress? You made your money off the backs. In fact, I won't say you made your money. You preyed on the backs of young black kids making that dirty, nasty music. And now all of a sudden you're an upstanding citizen? No. That dog don't hunt for me, folks. And you might say, well, Dave, you need to forgive. I'm not going to forgive anyone who tried to destroy our community, whether you black, yellow, or polka dot. I can't forgive you. Because I see the detriment. I see the destruction. And we are witnessing it today. As young black males on the street don't want to get a job, they'd rather shoot and kill somebody. And then you have the parents saying, well, they should have shot him. It's like some of them parents, this old man was living in a neighborhood. They tried to break in his house, kicked his door down. He was waiting on them and he shot one of them. We shot two of them, killed one of them. And then the parent has unmitigated gall to try to sue him. Well, wait a minute. Maybe you should have been teaching your child not to try to break in someone's house. I tell you what, you're breaking in my house, I'm going to bust a cap on your ass too. I don't care what color you are, because in the dark, I can't see. All I know is that you trying to get in my house, and I don't know who you are, and I'm 65 years old, and I ain't gonna hardly fight you because I got a back problem. I'm gonna empty the chamber on your ass, and I'm gonna hate it that if you're a young black male, but that's the problem, is that instead of the parents saying, oh my God, he shouldn't have done that. Even a young brother who got killed for the water in North Carolina? By Ricky Chow? No, Chow should have been able to chase him down like a dog, but at the end of the day, if he wasn't in there stealing water, he'd still be with us. I know that sounds cruel, but we gotta start making our children stand up for their mistakes. And it starts with parents, because you got parents now who want to be cool with their kids. I just tell my kids all the time, I'm not your friend, I'm your daddy. I'm friends with them now. I made some unpopular decisions for them and about them. They were mad. I didn't care. I'm your daddy. Maybe that's what you all need to start doing. And as a matter of fact, parenting is a lost art. We should not be allowing our kids to be able to do whatever they want in our homes. We should not be able to have our kids living in our houses and they're playing all that gutter music. And you call yourself a Christian, you're in church every Sunday. I tell people all the time that when I became an adult and I moved out, I was gone at 18, I moved back briefly for a while, but when I finally totally moved out, I'd come to my mom's house. When I'd come to visit, she'd always ask me, do I want a drink? And I'd say, no, ma'am. She said, you grown now, you're over 21, you can drink if you want here, it's okay. No, ma'am. You know why I would say no, ma'am? It's because I respected my mother and I respected her home. And maybe that's what we must do, is rebuild, reignite the respect in our communities. And on that note, it's time to get out of here. I hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but in times of challenge. What is your challenge? I wish you peace. Y'all have a great day, and thanks for listening to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices, on joynetradio.com.
You've been listening to Black Focus, where we discuss our issues with our solutions and our voices. Join us every weekday afternoon at 1 p.m. on joynetradio.com.